What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on the East Coast. My name is Adam, and this is Proper Royals Live. My channel, if you've not seen it before, is all about my family's journey from ball python hobby to ball python business, and I share everything that I can about it pretty transparently. So we're always talking about ball pythons, the reptile hobby in general, business, marketing, and tonight we're going to talk about the ball python community, or we'll start there and who knows where we'll end up. My guest tonight is Miguel from Perfectly Engineered Reptiles. I have been messing his name up all week, and he's been more than patient with me. I will tell that story. I'll come fully clean. Perfectly Engineered Reptiles. Miguel from down in Tampa, or at least the Tampa area, but we met in Tampa a little while back and kind of hit it off. I said, man, I got to get you on the show. So stick around. Miguel is going to be on here in just a moment once I get through some announcements, a little housekeeping. And actually, I got a pretty cool announcement that has to do with Jeremy Bod and a little help from Chris Eaton, Snakes and the Fat Man as well. So stick around just a second on that. It's the middle of summer. I hope you had a good 4th of July. Today's the 5th of July. I hope everybody's was safe and healthy and all of that sort of thing. And I had a great time. I hope you had half as much fun as I did or more. So it was great with the family, a good family day. It was my it was my second 4th of July off in 27 years. 25 years I worked 4th of July straight in the restaurant industry. I got some more eggs earlier this week, and I still have one. Today is the 42nd day that one of my females has not laid, and tomorrow will be the longest that I've ever had a female go without laying. So let me know what you think about getting into the mid 40s. I'm really kind of concerned, mostly because I'm getting into my head. I know that, 50 is kind of, everything's fine if they go up to 50 days. The problem is next Wednesday, tonight's Tuesday, so 8 days from now, I fly out to Colorado for 5 days. So if she hits day 50, I'm not going to be here to deal with the vet or, whatever measures. I wouldn't even know what measures to take, but whatever I'm supposed to address things with. My wife and son will be, so it's not trying to make it dramatic, but I'm a little worried about her. So anyhow, hopefully, maybe I'll get off the air after a couple hours tonight and there'll be an egg or two sitting there. Maybe she'll get going. So you can follow on Instagram for that. I kind of been posting some updates about her. I get to go to Colorado next week. I'm going to go see some rock and roll at Red Rocks, and an old friend, one of my just old buddies from high school. I'm going to go see him and his family out there. I'll take a solo trip, and Kelly and Charlie stay here. Upcoming videos. How cool is this? I'm going to film a video tomorrow with Antoine at High Desert Pythons. Here's how this world works. Talk about community. He and our schedules have been missing. So every now and again, I just shoot him a note. Hey, what's your schedule like? So tonight he goes, yeah, tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. Great. I have nothing planned. I don't know what we're going to talk about. So if you got topics that you want me to cover with Antoine, let me know. It won't be live. It'll be a edited video that I post, in a few days kind of thing. But Antoine from High Desert Pythons, when he says yes and it's to be tomorrow, it will be tomorrow. So that's what I'm working on with Antoine. I'm going to make my notes right here. 17 of y'all in the audience. Thanks so much for hanging out, and especially those of y'all that are new that I haven't seen before. Maybe Byron Ratliff. I don't know if I've seen you in before. Thanks so much for being here. Welcome back, Snakes for the Memories. I liked your happy 4th of July post yesterday. Same to you. Jeremy Bod, what's going on, man? There's a bunch of you that I know, but are we going to go through like 20 names? I love you. I adore you, and I'm not good at the shout outs and all of that. Plus, you come here for content, so I want to get to that. Let's see. I figured out how to use some tickers, so I don't have to give the full pitch on a couple different things. I'll run those by tonight or try those out. Let me know what you think. If you see me fumbling with buttons, that's part of the deal. And as always, if you do a super chat or a sticker, it goes to the Rat Fund. You will be helping me feed a ball python. Pretty good thing. So I got to tell a little quick story before we jump in with Miguel. He's been kind enough to chill in the green room a little bit. So this is the word is out now. Jeremy has unveiled it, but Jeremy Bod, and he could correct me. Jeremy, you're in the audience, so you can leave notes if I screw something up. I believe it was last year. I'm sure it was last year. Jeremy Bod had made what he called a mystery box, and I don't remember the exact rules of the mystery box. It was for the US ARC auction at the Daytona show, which I've never been. I'm excited to go this year. I've heard that it is absolute madness. The amount of money flying around, perhaps the alcohol flying around. Miguel might be able to tell me about it. I bet he's been there. We did the US ARC auction in Tampa, but Daytona will be a much bigger thing. Anyway, Jeremy crafted he's very skilled Finnish carpenter, cabinet maker, and he crafted what he called a mystery box. And he went around and got donations for everybody to stuff that box full of huge money. The thing is, you can't get the money out without smashing the box, and therefore you don't know how much is in it, hence the mystery box. Well, that box was auctioned, then donated back to US ARC for the money, whereupon other people said, no, I'll bid on it. And it kept bidding. And I think, Jeremy, correct me, I know that it was in the 5 figures, and I believe it, for some reason, the number 17 or 27 sticks in my head, $1,000 that this thing raised. Either amount is monstrous, 17 or 27. I think it was 27, but Jeremy will tell me. Anyhow, Jeremy says, Adam, I got an idea for you know what? I'm not going to I'm going to play the video right now because he got somebody professional too. So that's the start of it. Jeremy comes to me and he says, you know what? I got an idea. We're going to raise even more money than last year. And I need your help, Adam. And I will leave it right there. This video was put together by Chris Eaton from Snakes and the Fat Man. And Jeremy Bod says over 28,000 is what it raised last year. Monstrous. So he's going for a bigger item for the auction this year to raise more. If you're going to go to Daytona, hey, look, maybe you don't have 28 grand, but maybe, you can support it and be a part of it. But check this out. This is from Snakes and the Fat Man, Chris Eaton. Chris sent me this video. He knows I've got it. And I'm going to play it for you. Here you go. Let me make sure. Yeah, perfect. Here we go.
Okay, so what we got here is pretty fucking cool, man. 15 Minutes of Lame Season 1 alumni Jeremy and Jeannie Bod over at Bod's Exotic Reptiles. They went out and they got themselves a guitar. Then they got that guitar signed by the original pioneering big dogs in the reptile hobby. I'm talking guys like Ralph Davis, Kevin McCurley, Brian Barczyk, the Sutherlands, Ty Park, and more. And guess where this thing is headed? To the Daytona 2022 National Reptile Breeders US ARC auction. Maybe, just maybe, one of you guys could own a piece of fucking history. The only way to win this guitar is show up at the auction and bid. Help out US ARC, own something bad. This is literally the only one of these guitars in the world. Get your down to the Daytona US ARC auction on Saturday, August 20th at 8 p.m. at the Daytona Hilton and bid on this guitar, support US ARC, and potentially be a part of reptile history.
How stinking cool, right? Like that. So cool. And so what that has to do with me at all, other than being excited, is Jeremy had come to me and he said, Adam, you play music and you're a musician. I said, yeah. He goes, do you have any guitars for sale? And I said, well, actually I do, but I'll be honest with you, it's a pretty special guitar, and I've kind of had the price marked really high on it for a while because I'm not really sure if I want to part ways with it. I said, what are you doing? What do you need a guitar for? Do you play? And he goes, no. And he told me that he wanted it to go to US ARC and he wanted it to raise money. And I said, you know what? That's the perfect thing that I've been waiting for a reason to part with that guitar. And I won't turn this into a whole show, I promise, because Miguel's coming on in just a second. But I bought a guitar in the summer of 2010 when my mother was in hospice care prior to her passing away from ovarian cancer. And the body on that guitar you just saw is the guitar that that I bought that summer to kind of help me get through that summer. And I loved it for that reason, but it wasn't a great guitar. So I stripped it down. I took everything off of it. I got rid of all the junky parts except for the body. The only thing that was left was that white body and the wood. And then I proceeded to build every bit of that guitar. Up to and including the neck. I did the finish work on the neck. And if you saw on the headstock, it says Shira, which is, over here, which is my last name. That is when Chris said that there's not another guitar like that around, he's absolutely true. That is the guitar that I made. I built that. And it's numbered, it's hand signed on the back. I've made some others along the way, but that one's really special to me. And it just doesn't suit what I do anymore for music. And I'm not really into trophies, and it went to a really, really good cause. And Jeremy Bod was very, very generous to me about it. I'd be lying if I said I gave it to him. I didn't give it to him. I did not donate it. But I'll leave the rest of the details at that. So, Jeremy, thank you so much for including me. I cannot wait to see what that guitar goes for. And the day of the auction, I'll probably lose it. Like, if that guitar raises half of what the money box did, it'll go so much farther than I ever thought I would be able to do good with that guitar. And it's such a special thing to me. So, anyhow, there it is. There's the moment. And I'm really just thrilled to be a part of it. So humbled to be a part of it. And the people that Jeremy got on that guitar it's crazy. Like, I got to have Jeremy on for either a whole show or a quick spot before Daytona, just so he can go through it. Jeremy, you said hopefully 10K, man. I bet it'll go above that, man. At any rate, if anybody is interested in buying it and is a musician, I'm happy to set that guitar back up. Jeremy had to disassemble it. He shipped different parts of that guitar out to different people because he's not driving around the country getting signatures, but he is flying parts of that guitar around getting signatures. So it looks really good right now. I don't know if it's playable right now, but I will get it playable and really nicely playable for Daytona. For that as well. So anyhow, thanks everybody for humoring me on going through that story. Thank you to Jeremy, and huge thanks to Miguel for hanging out for a minute. So without further ado, please welcome for the first time to the Proper Royal stage from Perfectly Engineered Reptiles in Tampa, Florida, Miguel. Welcome to the show, man.
What's up, everyone? Thanks, Adam.
Hey, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for being patient with me. Everybody's probably like, why does Adam keep laughing when he says the name? Tell the story from your end from your side of the story.
Yeah, I think you probably do this with the other guests too. Hey, send me your thumbnail, send me your info.
Right.
A couple days before the show, he sends out, okay, here's the logo I made. Make sure you can share it. And he had perfectly executed reptiles.
Yeah, it was the thumbnail. So I had your logo, which states perfectly what your name is, very clearly on it. And I decided I would just change the name to Perfectly Executed Reptiles.
So I did get an updated one from Adam, and I did post mine, but I believe he left the one with executed on it. And I didn't say anything. I was just going to dig some ribs here, Hey, I'm trying to execute these ball pythons, and just throw some shade his way. It was a small mistake, But yeah, thanks for having me. By the way, not only first time on yours, first time ever on a live. Never done one.
Oh, cool, man. Well, Jesus, Jeremy Bod is pulling no punches tonight. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I see you, Jeremy. Shout out to all the people. I did see you said Byron, Sweet Serpents, another tampered breeder. Actually, we only live about 4 miles away.
Yeah, I did meet Byron. You know what? I'll tell you what's really hard for me, and this isn't just me making an excuse. Remembering people's actual name when you're talking to them in person and what their screen name is really, really hard. Yeah, I know exactly who Byron is. I mentioned earlier, I hadn't seen you in here. I know who Byron is.
He's friends with Dale. I think you met him when you were boothing Dale.
Yeah, he bought a very nice snake from Dale. I met spent a moment there together. So yeah, I know exactly who. I'm sorry, Byron, man. Like I said, I mix up like trying to remember who's what, and then when I do know who's what, I just change the screen name, the handle, anyway, the brand anyway.
I will say to make it easier on you, I knew it was a long name. I can give you a short story of why I did it, but that's why I go PER.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to ask you about that, but let's start from the start. You said it's the first time on a live, so introduce yourself to people that might not know you and tell us about you a little bit.
Yeah, what's going on, everyone? I'm Miguel with PER, born and raised in New York, New York. Left fairly young. I actually claimed Florida as my home. Went to middle school here, graduated high school here. I'm a vet. I was in the service right around the September 11th time frame and all that. I actually had ball python. I believe similar story to Adam. I had ball pythons, jungle carpets, chameleons, beardeds, boas, tegus. In around the 99, 2000, 2001 time frame, got deployed, had to get rid of the entire collection, had children, family, life, blah, blah, blah. And kids grow up, life happens, and you kind of, get the itch again. And you're like, if you're like me, you went to a Repticon, bought one snake, and 2 months later, you got like a PVC rack in here, wondering what the hell happened and how'd you get all these snakes? And the rest is history. It's probably a story that so many of us share.
It is. So many people say that. And hey, before we go too far, I'm sure you hear it all the time, but thank you for your service. I know that a draft hasn't existed since long before our time, so that means you volunteered. Thank you. And I'll leave it there for now. What did you go to high school in Tampa and middle school in Tampa?
Well, my father, he actually had bounced around. He was a manager in like a startup company and going around and helping. So we actually started in Tampa. I think about a year and a half later, we moved to Orlando, and then he opened a branch here in Tampa again. But high school was predominantly, my first year and a half was in Tampa at Chamberlain High School. Don't know if you know what it is.
Yeah. The purple one, right?
I think they're Indians, but I think they just voted to change the mascot. So I don't know what the new mascot is.
I was thinking the color was the reason I asked similar thing. My father moved like crazy too, but I went to middle school in Tampa and my first year of high school in Tampa at Hillsborough. I went to Hillsborough and then moved up here to Jacksonville.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I went to Chamberlain and then the rest of it was in Orlando.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Nobody came to hear our, compare our battle wounds from high school and Florida suburbs. So, but yeah, how long ago was that when you got back into the story you were just telling us about getting back into your ball pythons? How long ago was that?
So I believe the Repticons are in November. So my first one would have been November 2019.
Okay.
About 4 or 5 months before the COVID.
Yeah, so you're about.
I'm not a COVID bubble guy, but I was right on the cusp, and
you were setting the trend for all the rest of us.
Yeah,
means you got some stakes before the prices exploded, is what that means.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that later. I'll tell you what some of the ones I picked up for.
Yeah, and so second or third season breeding for you now, or not? No, I know you're breeding.
This is 2.
Cool.
I avoided the itch to buy adults right away and bought hatchlings and was just enjoying baby snakes grow up.
Good for you. That's hard on patience, man. Not me. I was like, as soon as I decided I wanted to jump in, I was like, I told my wife, she's like, "You're gonna buy that big one right now?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to." And ironically, that one is still not produced for me. There's 2 seasons now. She hasn't gone. I'm hoping she'll still come around this year. I'll pair her once a month kind of deal until I see something different. But that's the ironic part. The first one I bought, no eggs whatsoever yet from her at all.
Yeah.
So how many or what size scope of operation and how many clutches are you looking for this year?
Yeah, so I'm actually in the same boat as you. It's interesting. I'd be curious to see if you've been keeping track. I've been trying to keep track of all of, incubation, temperature, everything. This year I'll have 10.
For you. Cool.
The 10th one should have laid the 4th, so we're technically on day 31 with her.
Nice. Okay, so you're ahead of me. I am. The one I'm waiting on will be 5. I've got another one for sure that'll be 6, and then I got to toss up on a few others. as much as I like to come across as like, I'm the guy, I'm the ball python guy, I've got a show. Like the reality is I'm learning. This is new and this is all. That's why I say it's my family's journey from hobby to business. So as soon as I think I got it figured out, I'm like, oh, there was an ovulation. There's an, I'm like on it. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah, but I think that's why you guys, there's a couple even in here, Warfuls, Ebony and Ivory. I think a lot of us really enjoy this community sense and watching us grow together. I mean, there are the Barcheks of the world and Justins, and I watch every video they put out, but I do look for us new guys. To journey together. Even though we're not in the same spot, you're not in my house, we get to go through this together. I think that's why I love this community.
There's I share it every now and then. There's a book called Show Your Work that I love. It's written like, not exactly like a kid's book, but it's one of the most inspirational books that gave me the most confidence to start doing this. And it basically says, throw your ego away. In this day and age, share everything you can, and you'll find your audience and you'll find so much support. And he argues, it's a goofy word. He made it up, but he basically says, don't be a genius, find a scene. And then he makes the word genius out of it. He goes, your whole scene, collectively, you'll be geniuses far more than any one individual that's an expert could be. So like, as soon as he said that, I was like, man, I'm going to start okay. Like,
part of it is your show and the other shows, they boost confidence because we do second guess ourselves. I'm by no means, am I an expert? No, I come from mostly wild caught, 98, 99, 2000, we were mostly getting wild caught animals, and we still believed in temperature drops and all this other stuff. And whenever you watch another YouTube channel and that, I was trying this, I heard this, those same ideas are in all my head.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm not so nuts. Adam's doing it. Let me give it a shot.
We'll give it a shot. And it's hey, Phil, thank you, man. You're like one of the most giving dudes in the.
Thanks, Phil. Thank you.
So many people give in different ways. Like, trust me, I like the people that give financially. That's fantastic. But like the knowledge, I learned a ton from Phil. He won't come on the show. He won't get on camera. He says he's Jeremy Warful's having.
He's afraid of Jeremy making fun of his fat face.
That's a different Jeremy.
No, yeah, Jeremy's just teasing everyone. I'm grinding out, doing my push-ups.
For a dude that doesn't drink beer very often, as Jeremy Bod says, he sure acts like a drunk. What a big Phil, you're exactly. It is an expense, and it's going to one of my expenses. So perfect, man. Anytime you need a write-off, Phil, you just let me know, my man. We'll work it out just fine. Yeah, I got to say hey to Shannon. I'll keep it quiet for a moment, but Shannon and I, he's become a good buddy, and I'll just leave it there for right now. But I appreciate your support and checking out the show, Shannon. So, yeah, this guy, Austin Clayton, the other books along this same kind of line, but I highly recommend it. And matter of fact, I wouldn't even plan on that. I keep it on my little bookshelf over here, but actually in the description of like my Amazon links, there's a link to that. And if you have whatever Amazon's audio subscription is, you can get it for free. I don't even get a kickback on it. I just think it's that cool. It's a good enough book. And like, I don't know, you could sit down and read it in 2 hours or listen to it on a 45-minute car ride kind of thing, probably. So, so you and I, we met at the Tampa Repticon. You alluded to it earlier. I was speaking of a scene and people that'll help out in the community. I'm a madman. I hit up breeders that I respect and ask them if I can go vend with them. And I'm sure they're like, who is this madman? I don't know him. He's a stranger. I'm not going to have him around my snakes. I don't want him behind my booth. And Dale came on the show, and then I talked to him afterwards and asked if I could vend with him sometime. And I said, look, I'll work. I'll load in, I'll load out, I'll do whatever. I don't care. Like, treat me like the fraternity pledge. I don't care. And he said, yeah, just come on, just meet me at the show. And he was really, really great to me. Gave me all the experience I was looking for. And that's where I met you. You were, I think when I first saw you, you were over hanging out with Jeremy, where he was enjoying your face in person, not on the camera, because that's bothering him apparently. and Jeremy Bod, that is. And I don't know, along the way, we certainly through Steve Casino at Steve's Morphs we met, but we met and started talking and hanging out beforehand somewhere in there. So you obviously knew those guys. Is that from being a customer? Is it from hanging out at the shows? Is it from reaching out to them on social media? All the above? How did those relationships come about?
Oh, it was all through Repticons. Most of the contacts that I've made have been through Steve from Steve's Morphs. Shout out to him. I don't think he watches these, but a very informative, giving guy, very willing to help you. He was one of the first expo tables or Repticon guys. I remember pointing at snakes and him, nah, you don't want that. What do you want that for? Once I showed interest in breeding, it really switched from him trying to sell me a snake to him trying to, well, you kind of want to do this right and steering me in the right direction instead of just trying to move stuff on me. But yeah, through him and talking with him, see him at every show. Jeremy was vending, and obviously YouTube channels. Dale. I mean, let's go. There's Marty's Morph. There's a couple of core Central Florida Repticon guys that I become friendly with because they just see me every one.
And and they're in Tampa. There's 2 a year. Is that correct?
In 19 and 20, outside of the realm, and we don't have to deep dive into it, but another reptile show kind of moved into Florida.
Right. Yeah. I got you. Thanks. Yeah, I hear you.
So Repticon kicked up its game to fight the competition.
Okay, so there's 2 a year now.
We've seen 3.
Okay. All right. And for people that don't know, like I wouldn't know Nebraska geography, Florida geography from Jacksonville to Daytona is about an hour and a half. From Daytona to Orlando is about an hour. From Orlando to Tampa, depending on traffic, because one highway goes through all of this.
An hour and 4 hours.
Yeah, you could take 4 days if you want. I actually literally drive through the swamps of Central Florida so that I don't have to get on I-4. And I'll just suck up the extra 20 minutes to not deal with the possibility of, 4 hours. But from Orlando to Tampa is, another hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes kind of thing. So if you live along that corridor, because Orlando's probably got, at least it's got one, but does Orlando have 2 Repticons too now?
They did 3 that year, but they're consistently at 2.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, within an hour and a half drive, you could have 5 to 6 Repticons. And that one in Tampa was really fantastic. I mean, that was a top.
There's some smaller ones, too. There's a Sarasota one.
Oh, yeah.
There was one a year, but last year they did 2. The Lakeland show, if you've never been, I think it's called the Fire Expo. That one's huge. That one's actually a really good show.
Wow. And that Lakeland is on that same road. That Lakeland's 45 from Tampa and 45 from Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, knowing you and maybe some other guys, I'd go to Jacksonville, but I've never had a reason to get away from those 3 Repticons. Being in Central Florida, you're really lucky in the ball python trading.
I hate to say it. I hate to admit it. The gods will strike me dead, but the Jacksonville show is not good. It's not. Yeah,
you went to Tampa. Is it how comparative or size wise is it?
Oh, Tampa was double as big, and then the quality was Dale. So I would say that Dale was, and I'm obviously biased towards Dale, but Dale was the best there that year at the top. I think Ward's was there. Ward's World of Reptile Propagation, I think, and he's a good dude. He was there, and I have their card. Imperial, I think, from Orlando.
Here in Orlando,
they were there, and otherwise it was the small locals. And
now George didn't go. I thought George was a Jacksonville driver.
Not late. The latest one he was not at. Okay. He was at the one. We only get 1 a year, I think, maybe 2. And he was at one previous. And I'm not knocking the local scene. There's just not the established, well-known volume. There's nobody producing the volume of like Steve or Dale or George or really even Jeremy Bod, who has a huge collection, but still those other guys are producing a lot more than him, I think.
Yeah.
So that there's just not those big volume guys.
Yeah.
And
yet.
No, not yet. And bigger's not always better. Like, let me make that clear. But you hear everybody talk about to actually work a project or to, to get that quality, you either have to buy it, but as a breeder, you're not setting out to buy it. You're setting out to create something different that sets you apart. So you need the huge, volume. And I just don't see that around here. There is, I tell you what, though, for the best quality I've seen that blew my mind, there's and I haven't been able to get them to come on the show, and it drives me crazy, but that's okay. They don't owe me. And I keep using a pronoun they. Their name is Alex, and I'm not sure if Alex is the man or the woman in the pictures, or I don't know. Anyhow, it's Alex at Expressive Exotics on Instagram, and they're just like, oh, by the way, here's our 4th double visual of the year, and I'm like, holy, you're right here in the backyard, and I never heard of you, But
there's so many.
Yeah, but they don't vend. They're totally home and morph market operation. So anyhow, no, I hate to say it. I would love for the breeders to come up to Jacksonville, and then but it's not a great show here.
Shout out to a couple of people, if you don't mind. Snakes and Memories, Leviathan. I think we actually started together. Leviathan was the first person ever. I don't know if it was Steven or Courtney, but was the first person ever to leave a comment on one of my YouTube videos.
Wow, that's good trivia. I feel like I'm like the end of the year show. I need to do like a trivia giveaway. That would be a good one.
Yeah, a buddy of mine who actually served, and he's been into ball pythons even before me. He's up in Charleston, South Carolina, Leveled Up Exotics. He's in here. Thanks for joining.
I didn't think I had seen Leveled Up before, but then I wasn't sure. And then I was like, were they going to be like, yeah, I've been here before, dummy. Like, thanks for not seeing me before. That's why I got to watch it on the shout outs,
He's one of those quiet breeders. Got a pretty good collection, grinding away, but doesn't social media just loves the ball pythons and just does it at, does it at his own pace.
I tell you what, if there's weeks where I'm like, why do I do this to myself? I'm like, okay, it's showtime. Like we were talking about that earlier. I got to change my dinner schedule on Tuesday nights to every Tuesday night to make this work,
Yeah. But I think it's interesting actually. I was looking through the chat, sorry, and this part I love. Just a shout out, kudos to the chat. I'll get off the soapbox, but this is what's making it grow. It's so awesome. It's to watch everybody just build each other up. I mean, I don't know how many of you have all ever met. I've met Adam one time.
Right.
And, so many of you I feel like I know. It's actually weird when I meet you because I feel like it's long overdue.
Yeah, I had that kind of Ken's going to be like, I didn't even mention that to Adam. Ken commented somewhere on somebody else's show, Ken at Primal Scales, that he had just bought his tickets to Daytona. And I'm like, hell yes, I'm going to go drink a beer with that dude. Like, I don't even know if he drinks, but he's the kind of guy that I want to have a beer with, Speaking of double recessive visuals, Ken just hatched, he's got some pied clowns that are primo. And I have said on this show before, I don't really understand clown pieds because you just get the little head and then it just looks like a pied. To me, he's got one. It's got to have inch. I don't know what the Ken, tell us the pairing if you know which one I'm talking about. To me, that head part that looks like clown extends through about the first third of the body without the pattern being disrupted by the pied. And then it looks pied. And I was like, that is a clown pied.
Yeah, I like the high whites.
What's that?
I don't like the high whites.
Exactly. Yeah. On a double visual recessive pied. Yeah. I want as low white as, well, not quite as low white as possible.
I'm good at 80% coloration. I'm okay with pattern being. I actually no more than 1/5 of the snake to be pied.
Did you see, talking about that, Steve's Morphs had a breeder female pastel pied that he swore was pied, and it had no white. And
it's the belly.
Yeah, he holds it up and he's like, "Look, it's pied, the belly." And I'm like, from a pure breeder standpoint, fine, that's perfect. from enjoying anything of Pied. Like, give me a ringer or something. I was like, I'm not paying a premium price for that. Like,
I'm probably one of the insane people. I remember in 99, 2000, I think I was actually with Leveled Up Exotics in San Diego when we saw the first Pied that we saw. It was $25,000, I think.
I bet
and I was floored. And he loves them. He breeds them. Man, they don't do it for me.
Oh, I love them too. I breed them too, but not. They don't. The one that I like with the least amount of white is if it has enchi and draws it out and brings out those oranges. But that pastel with no white, like, that's just a mush. That's just like a brown soup of a snake, you know?
Yeah. Now I do like Pandapides, Sumapides, the whatever it's called now, the Sharpie, the Expo Pied.
Oh, I don't even know about that one. What is that?
That's the one that Justin revealed. That's the Suma Black Pastel. So you get the Suma, so you don't get the wobble.
Yeah.
But then the black pastel, super black pastel Pied is the Panda Pied. But you end up with high white, and obviously super black pastel has its issues, duck billing, shark mouth.
Yeah.
So a Suma Pied is actually slightly brown more than black. He threw the black pastel in it. You can look up. I think he asked his kid, what should we name it? And they thought of the Dry Erase Expos.
Yeah, I got you.
Like that. Yeah.
So nicknames for snakes are just like what I was talking about earlier. Like, screen names and brands and actual name and what the hell they are is maddening for me. So, like, I can't keep up with all of the nicknames. So thank you for walking me through that.
Yeah. I realize it's an interesting thing, and I really enjoy the business side that you and Steven had. I think that one went like 2.5 hours or something like that.
Yeah, we did those.
And I really do say that it's a weird thing, boas and a lot of the other ones, they just end up with scientific names, hypo.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really throw out. There's a couple, but ball pythons, we go crazy with them.
Right.
But I will say it is important in the ball python industry because unless it's a dramatic change, your name will stunt or push the gene.
It really will. And yeah, you know what? That was a big topic of as goofy as nerdy as we are. That was a big topic when we were talking at the show. But I guess here's where I'm the hypocrite. I like the nickname for the single gene. I don't like combo nicknames. I can keep track with the single gene nickname. I don't want a combo nickname. I don't want to have to wonder what an expo is and that's a combination of 4 genes, or one recessive, a super, and then a dominant, man. But what was you were given? There was some combo that had a goofy nickname that I guess Dale had pitched a fit in the past saying, I'm never calling that combo that name. And I don't even remember what it was, but like,
I do. It's just weird because
it's like nothing against the name or something.
There's nothing against the name, but Dale has been going at it for some time. I believe someone in Europe was the first one to do it. And it's the genetic stripe clown.
Okay.
And its nickname is the Kiki Ball.
Kiki Ball, not the baby ball, the Kiki Ball.
Kiki
okay.
Ball. And somebody in the chat, keep me honest, I don't remember who came up with the name Kiki Ball. But it's his daughter's name. He named it. He had decided that when he produced his first genetic stripe clown, I believe he probably thought he was the first one. He named it after his daughter. Another one that's similar, not in the same effect. I just don't like the name. I think it's cool. I just like, why would you name it that? And then I got the story, and I felt like
now we're the jerks. Like
the nanny
daughter. Yeah,
I like the nanny, but I hate the name the nanny.
Yeah, who was it? Steve saying Steve was like, just the name alone has hit the industry. Like,
Gulf Coast Exotics is into it. He really likes it, but he'll openly tell you, I wish I could rename it because there's so many people who tell me. He's like, I've had people's facial expression change. Like, oh, what is this? It's a nanny, and they're like, oh, and then, here you go, you can have it back. And
I'm a grown man, and I'm going to stare at you in the face with a straight face and say, this is a nanny, right?
And the story behind it, I don't know who named it, but I do know he named it after his nana, his grandma. Sweet story. It's just not a good name for a snake.
Right. Well, maybe one day we'll have the privilege of naming something, and then Phil's got to be a dad because he loves this one. He wants it to be a duper, so that super duper.
That'll be a great combo one, right? The super duper pastel.
The super duper pastel.
Desert Ghosts.
Yeah, I'm not above it. I have a whole. I was gonna do. I've decided that comedy is not my scene, but horrible dad jokes isn't bad. I have a whole list of ball python morph puns that I just haven't figured out the time to break it out yet. Maybe on a roundtable show when it's all dads, I'll just let it rip.
I'm always shocked that we don't have, for us anime nerds out there, a morph called the Saiyan.
I don't know what that is.
So Dragon Ball Z, they're Saiyans, but when they charge up, they're Super Saiyans. That just lends itself right into the ball python naming convention.
Perfect.
I was like, how do we not have? Oh, Creme de la Clutch. He's awesome. Great. Makes some powerful stuff. Don't know if you've met him yet, but I don't think he goes up to Jacksonville.
I see him in the audience a lot, and his name came up at the show as well. Not as actually, I don't know.
One of those small, powerful collections. I think he was the first to make the super blackhead clown combos. He did super blackhead leopards. He'll probably put it in there.
Oh, nice. Holdback Rack. Hey, Holdback Rack, y'all are doing some good, cool stuff. I enjoy your show, and I really do. Sometimes I'm like, they probably know, but like you run into a creative block, or what am I going to talk about this week, or how am I going to bring energy to the show this week? And they're really great about it. I listen to them sometimes. And I say them because there's two ladies that have the show together, so I'm not sure who's on there. I think Jeremy Bod, when I was filming at his booth at Tampa, I did a video with him, and somewhere he meant to say, somewhere along the way, he mixed up cream of the crop, creme de la creme, and out popped out of his mouth creme de la clutch. And Jeannie goes, "No, that's so and so," and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's that other," And I was like, "You're saying it, not me, man." So
great name, actually. Yeah,
it is a great name. Oh, some of them are fantastic out there, man. There's and I'll admit, I wouldn't say tired. I kind of roll my eyes at the how do I put it without messing up the advertisers? The pythons and balls connotations get a little old sometimes.
Yeah.
But there's some funny ones, and then the people that get the puns and make the good names without that topic are just super creative in my estimation. But there's some, what's the breeder? Grandpa's balls. I got to admit, that's pretty funny.
You know what? I always love it because you're like, oh, I like it, and then he tells you don't look it up on the internet.
I was gonna say, if you you can't brand that, man. Like you better be living and dying by your t-shirts because.
Yeah, mine. I'll real quick, if you don't mind, I'll tell you how I got my name.
Tell us about your name, yeah.
And in hindsight, I always wonder if I would change it, and actually, inadvertently, not in a direct conversation, Leviathan actually has helped me not to change my name.
Oh, cool. Actually, I want to hear about that too. So tell us about how you got it, though.
So for a living, I work at one of the amusement parks in Orlando as an engineer.
Nice.
Been doing that for, I guess, 5 years now. Been doing my field for about 12.
Yeah.
And at the time when we actually had started this, I had broken one of my cardinal sins and was dating a coworker.
Oh, yeah.
It's a no-no, but things happened and we dated. But she was also an engineer, and I had the one snake. She liked it. We went to a Repticon and we left with 6 more snakes. And then she was the one who was actually like, we should breed. And I was just enjoying them. Like I told you, I bought hatchlings. I was not interested. I was interested in being a reptile enthusiast, just enjoying the snakes. But the more I looked at it, I was like, yeah, we should. And we started talking about a name. And those gears are actually meant to be like us thinking about, like I said, I take a very scientific approach to this. I track everything, temps, regular sheds. I use Husbandry Pro for everything. Just trying to learn as much as I can. And I am very aware that it's specific to me. Biometric pressure and things like that are different to everyone's area. So, but, it became this thing like, okay, we should definitely incorporate that into the name because we are taking a very practical approach to doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And the snake is actually the second snake that we bought. It's a mahogany albino. Still have him. He's in the rack.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I thought it was overly complicated. As time went on, I thought this is too big. My email is Perfectly Engineered Reptiles at, and Steven has said more than once, I believe he's even mentioned it on yours. Your name and your logo aren't important. Just being in people's faces is what's important.
Yeah, and I'm a big, both in life, but also in brands, I'm a big fan of the conversation starter. Like, if it triggers a conversation, you're going to get a better bond with somebody out of it. You're going to be more memorable to somebody with it. I'm not looking for affirmation or compliments. I'm perfectly confident in who I am now. But when I sing and play music, I make dumb faces. And I've never been the guy that was like the, super charmer with the ladies, so to speak.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So I finally got this stupid hat. I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear this hat. I'm going to pull this hat down over my face. Then nobody will see my dumb faces when I sing. Right there, man. It was like Captain Charisma because I have a dumb hat on my. I mean, it was stupid. It's a dumb fedora. Like I'm walking around with a guitar, like I'm, who knows what. And to this day, I always have my hats on, and even the other guys in the band are like, "What dumb hat you have tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
worked for Slash."
Yeah, ask my wife about my dumb hat. My hat is just fine, and like, I don't care what you call me, just as long as you're calling me, So
yeah.
But in that mindset, when I saw your logo and looked closely at it, I figured between the engineered name and then the gears, there was something. I actually figured it was going to be cars, was what I was going to guess. But the engineering aspect of it, Phil Snyder says guitar face is a thing. Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah.
I agree, and it's weird because sometimes I think overly complicated logos take away from things because it just gets lost. Yours is enough to make you go, what am I looking at? Because you're looking at a snake, but then you're not sure what you're looking at for a second. And then you're looking like, okay, I got it. There's gear. There's clearly gears there. I don't know if it's a car gear, if it's a roller coaster gear, whatever it might be. But all of that we were just talking about is also part of why I wear a chef coat. Like you saw me at the show. I'm walking around in a chef coat. And
now, what's the proper part?
Oh, I'll tell that story in just a second. I'll tell you about it. I had no doubt that there were plenty of people going, look at this dummy in a chef coat. But you know what? I was the only guy in there in a chef coat. And I'm the only one with this logo on my chest in this chef coat. So it's a way for people to remember me and to stand out. And I've long since given up being concerned of don't get me wrong, I have my own insecurities, but what other people think of me is really not one of them very often. So I'm thankful for that trait, but all of that ties into why I wear the chef coat as well. So Proper Royals. So I was working for a resort property in North Carolina, and resort isn't exactly the right word. It's a private member club, and it's owned by the property owners, but it's not, and none of that matters. I happen to be a property owner as well. When I moved there, it was in such a remote, desolate area, not desolate, remote though, and then rural area, that I was either going to have to commute an hour each way each day, or just buy a house on the property. And it was at a time when before the real estate boom, about 6 years ago. So I mean, it wasn't dirt cheap, but relative to now, it's dirt cheap. So I bought the home, and the average age in that community is like 67 or 68. So so I'm a member, I'm an owner of the place I work, but I'm serving my customers are fellow members that I have nothing in common with, generationally, anything. And so COVID came along, which, if we all recall, seemed to ramp up I'll just say the jerkiness, for lack of a better word, to everybody, of how everybody treated each other. And me being a restaurant guy, I feel like I caught the brunt of it, but in that community anyhow, I did. So I'm starting to buy ball pythons, and I'm like, these people, I can't just call it whatever pythons. I can't call it such and such snakes or such and such exotic animals or brand XYZ anything, because somebody's going to find out about it and somebody's going to go, Adam's got cobras in there and he's got to get out of this community, you know? And it's like, so, which I don't have cobras for the record. I have nothing venomous, but that would be their perception. So then it was like, all right, so the Royals part came first. So I was like, oh, they call it, you know, Python Regius. Oh, they call it Royals everywhere else in the world, except for here. For some reason, we call it ball pythons instead of royal pythons. I was like, all right. So that's kind of like this undercover, like if you know kind of thing. Like if you know what Royals are, then you know why I'm calling it that. Then the proper part was a lot of what you're talking about, man. I'm not an engineer, but let me tell you, food without a recipe doesn't taste right. You got to be able to do, you know, there needs to be precision in the cuts. If you're cutting a steak too thick, it's going to cook at a different speed and consistency than a thinner one. And if somebody loves your food one night and they come back expecting the same experience and you can't deliver the same experience, it's all got to be proper. That like proper encompasses all of that. And I was like, all right, what's important on the brand? Like I'm going to put care, concern, that intricate obsession into this. And I do. And I was like, proper is going to set the standard for what I want to be. And that's where Proper Royals came from. So I didn't want the old people to know what the hell I was doing. And I wanted to convey that I did know what I was doing.
Yeah. Good name, though.
So that's that. But again, it also, in retrospect, became a conversation starter. So if I had just named it Adam's Pythons, well, okay, he's Adam, he's got pythons. And I could have been great about it. You know, it could have worked out wonderful. At the end of the day, quality and service are what deliver. But it gave me a little something to stand apart from. And anyhow, I've become happy with it. So
shout out to Cooks.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen Cooks before. Prophecy I have seen before, but thanks for being here. And there was somebody else new that I'd seen. I'm not sure. What's up, Living Oddities? I got a fellow restaurateur in the house. I think Gen Exotics is new. That's a great twist. I like the Gen X into the Exotics name. Genomic Labs. That's who. I have not seen them before. Thanks for joining tonight. I appreciate y'all.
So before, I know we probably need to jump in. I do want to give one plug. I'm not affiliated, I'm not making any profit, but I feel like it's going under the radar and no one's talking about it.
What's that?
August 26th, which happens to be my birthday weekend and also happens to be the week after Daytona.
Yeah.
There's a show in Orlando called AnimalCon.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah, tell what's up with it.
I don't know if anybody, look, I'm excited for it. If you're like me, you geek out to meet these, what you would call reptile celebrities. I don't know what you would call them, the people we all look up to. But I think Brian Barczyk's going to be there. It's more than just the ball python guys, but I think Brian, Kevin from Nerd is going to be there. Yeah. And it is a little bit pricey, not a Repticon, and there's no animal sales. That's not what it's about. There's actually just panels. You're just signing up to meet these guys, and then depending on what tier ticket you buy, there's an after party that you can be invited to and have a little bit more interaction with them. But I don't really see too many people talking about it, and I think it's awesome for the industry. I want to go. Hopefully, as many of people in the chat or whoever, check it out. AnimalCon, I think Gen Z reptile. I mean, there's so many. There's got to be 80 influencers going. Tarantula Girl, Jason's Exotic Boas and whatever. He's one of the boa guys. But I mean, so many, just not so much knowledge is going to be physically in one place for a weekend. I feel like it's a crime if we don't, if you can take advantage of it and you don't.
Yeah, no, it's incredible access. Did you say Gen Z reptiles are on the one of the panels?
They're actually one of the panels. Yeah, I've been watching them. Thought they were cool.
I had them on my show. I didn't know they were.
I don't know if they recently signed up. It was actually in one of their videos. They mentioned it, and they said it was in Orlando, Florida. And I'm like, well, that's across the dang street for me.
Yeah.
Looked it up and was like, this is amazing.
They're great guys. Like, pedal down. I tell people, sorry. So to finish on the topic of the show, yeah, that's really cool, and it probably is going to be something that's kind of unprecedented as far as access with that concentration of people outside of like the in place to be in Daytona. Kind of, I'm sure the old days of the auctions or I'm sure somebody's hosted hospitality suites before and that kind of deal. But as far as something that everybody could have access to, yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how many topics we hit up, but we probably should.
Oh no, we're moving. It's no rules here, man. It's about hanging out and enjoying ourselves. So,
well, I know someone, I don't remember who it was, had mentioned they wanted to know what projects I was in. So
yeah, it was Jen.
And we'll just kind of get in that when you're ready.
There you go. Yeah, we could jump in now. It was Jen Exotic said, "What are I think he used the expression hot and spicy. What combos are you working on for this year, or what are you excited about for this year?"
Yeah, so much like you. Well, backstory again, real quick. If you're like me and you were one of those beginners, you just plucked out every pretty snake you could find, and you had this smorgasbord of collection, and then you went through this phase of shrinkage to kind of consolidate and make a little bit more. So I went through that phase, and I've ended up same like you, 3 recessive. My entire collection is built off recessives, and only 3. And,
okay.
My goal is to take all the codoms and stuff I have to build out those. And they're Axanthic, VPI line. I don't have a preference. To me, they're all good.
Yeah,
it's just about the better quality in each gene. But VPI line, Clown, and Desert Ghost. Those are my 3 big. My most anticipated clutch she just laid 4 days ago is a Chocolate Fire double het Axanthic Desert Ghost to a double het female.
Jeez.
So I'll have a shot at a visual Desert Ghost Axanthics.
Yeah, it would 25%, I think.
I think double het to double het is 1 in 16. If I'm right.
Sorry, I thought the first one was visual.
I wish.
Yeah, double het. Yeah, you got the 1 in 16. Yeah, you got a little.
But he did actually sire clutch. I bred him to a pastel Axanthic. She has already laid. She was my 3rd hatchling.
Oh,
She's
cool.
already produced the clutch. And she was a VPI Axanthic pastel. I did hit, from what I'm keeping, I did hit 2 visual Axanthics, a male and a female. And then I got another female who is the all codon. So she's a Chocolate Firefly, het Axanthic, pos het Desert Ghost.
Cool.
And then, then it was at bad odds. I hit 5 too. So 3 of those males feeding, growing up, and they'll be for sale when the time comes.
Well, and it just depends on when you need them. Obviously, we all like females for the long run value of them, but if you need something, if you happen to be in the situation where you need a male quick, man, those males can be.
Oh yeah.
Females will reproduce over and over, but a male can produce a whole lot real fast.
Yeah. It depends where you are. It depends how you do it.
Exactly right. Yeah. And so and I'm sorry, I always try and keep this up as everybody rattles them off. So Axanthic Desert Ghost potential for double visual this year. What about some other things that you're building towards?
Yeah, so my clown, I actually wanted to make combo clowns. I will eventually. I did recently buy a powerhouse male for this upcoming season. He's a pastel Enchi calico yellow belly Desert Ghost male that will. Speaking of the pre-COVID, from a very big breeder, I picked up a pastel het Desert Ghost, a yellow belly het Desert Ghost, and a leopard pastel het Desert Ghost. Shipped to my house for $1,100, which is wow in today's. But that was very early on, before even the COVID kind of bubble blew up and before Desert Ghosts exploded.
Let's see. Jen Exotics, is anyone finding supply chain being a bottleneck to your breeding? For me, waiting 12 weeks for racks is holding up my plants. Yeah.
Where is Gen X Exotics? Do you know where they're located at?
I don't. I haven't seen them before on the show, which is cool to have them in. When, Gen X, where are you located? So for me,
once again, in Central Florida, we don't have that problem.
What do you mean?
Well, we actually have 2 close. Like, there's one in Tampa. I can't. The name is eluding me. Can't remember. But there's also one in Lakeland. Family Reptiles. They're at a lot of the reptile shows.
Oh,
and they only sell PVC racks with thermostats in stock right now. I can go.
Gotcha.
If I needed to, I could go pick up an incubator. I could drive down the street and go get what I need if I was in
my ARS rack is still on a 12-week delay. But I will say, and this isn't a knock on anybody because it comes down to your own tools and resources and what you have to work with. I DIY a lot of mine. Like I like my ARS rack, but I'm staring at my hatchling rack is my own PVC DIY, and that's where I would get if I were held up, I would break out a DIY rack for hatchlings real quick on that for that. Yeah, Minnesota. That's where my wife is from. That is she is your people, man. She just got back from Minnesota. We have to switch off on vacations because of all the animals. So she and my son went to Minnesota. I'm going to Colorado next week, kind of deal. But yeah, I'm running into mostly the supply chain stuff isn't hitting me too hard. Other than my rat prices have really, really gone up. I don't breed my own. They haven't gone up prohibitively, but the percentage wise is quite a lot. And of course, I've got 50 ball pythons and I buy frozen thawed for them. So, but I have found, which I should have been doing all along, honestly, I've got the freezer space. If I fill the box up completely,
I don't know if you can hear the lightning. That's lightning. So if you
wow, yeah. I was like, what is that?
We just started storming. So
cool. I've been able to bring the percentage cost back down by getting them all, filling the box completely. But I've got to spend to get my rats under $3 a piece. I've got to spend around $500 to $600 at a pop, which it's easier to cough up.
Do you have a threshold? I know you crunch the numbers. For you, is there a number where it just makes sense to start rat breeding, or it's just not going to happen?
Not going to happen. So I have to optimize the efficiency the best that I can. Now, what I have been doing is you talk about us getting nerdy and numbers and whatnot. I have really put a lot of thought and consideration into, which I am doing now. My strategy right now with feeding and some financial concerns is feeding as big as I can safely, as least often as I can. So I used to just get all smalls, and basically every other week for a male. And if it's a breeding female, at least every week, if not more often. And I didn't mess around with mediums. And I think I have to be careful with mediums because I don't want to give a medium to an animal too soon, because that's a lot of
big meal for them. Yeah,
that's a big meal. However, my adult males, my biggest ones, can handle a medium, and I can give them one medium every 3 weeks because the mediums only cost me a quarter more. Which I'm sorry, the math off the top of my head, it's about 12% more. For almost 100% more grams. Mm-hmm. So if I can get that meal into them and then cut down the frequency of which I'm feeding them,
I wouldn't have to feed them but every 3 weeks.
That's right. So instead of $6 every 2 weeks, I'm at $3 every 3 weeks. See what I mean? So let me say with full clarity, I want my animal's health to be the biggest concern, not 28 cents here and there on a rat. But the ones that I can do that and that are super consistent and that are the good eaters, it's heaven. It's great. And to be honest, it's less cleaning too. I mean, it's more time back to me. So I look at that kind of stuff a whole lot, but that's where the supply chain stuff has hit me, the shipping costs, which I think comes down to shipping company labor and that kind of thing.
I suspect that'll never go down. I don't think shipping costs ever drops.
It's like airline tickets. Once they have an excuse to go up, it just seems like it never comes down, Yeah. I guess the exception to it coming down would be like the super economy airlines that are just a disaster to fly. Like, they're a nightmare, man. I'll pay the higher ticket. I'm at a point in my life I'll pay the higher ticket just to just not to ride that airline, So I was gonna tell us that you were there, and you might not be able to share too much because we don't want to, there are personal relationships. But so Steve Casino, Steve's Morphs, he hosted a breeders cookout that had some seriously heavy hitters, some cool breeders and hobbyists like yourself and myself. I didn't get to go because I was just saying my wife was out of town on vacation. I was on animal duty here at home. And we have, on top of the reptiles, we just adopted a dog. I got to talk to you about your dog too. We adopted a dog that is not only blind and sight impaired, he has no eyes. His eyes have been removed and sewn shut. So he takes a little bit of extra care, and he's fairly new to our family still. So we weren't going to board him just yet or even have a dog sitter or whatever. So anyway, I didn't get to go to the cookout. But tell us about the cookout at Steve's place. And maybe if you can, I've been to his place, but if you can describe the scene of arriving at Steve's place.
Oh, yeah. So, I was at his house about 2.5 months before that. And he's like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts, And I was like, well, who are you going to invite? And he's like, make it like a Florida thing. He's like, And I remember his fear, shout out to, once again, just who Steve was. I don't want people to think that it's like a Steve Con, is, this thing we made up where I'm just inviting people to buy my snakes and I don't have to go to a show, but I want people to come and enjoy themselves. I think people will trust, if they know you, they'll know. So yeah, he had a Kittinger. That's another one who is a Florida breeder, just making fire.
I'm sorry.
And so many. I can't even name them all.
Yeah. Let me interrupt really quick to your point. Steve Casino, and I'm not going to give specifics because individual people's business dealings is their own deal. I have personally seen Steve absolutely make a customer's day with just crazy deals that he will make for people. And I'm not saying that he's going to just give stuff away, but if you've been a customer and you've interacted with him, he does great things, and not just financially. I mean, he's so forthcoming with his time. He was really helpful. He had surgery the day that I picked up my snakes from him, and he knew I'd be in the area, so he stayed up through the haze of whatever leftover drugs, for lack of a better word, just so that he could hand deliver the snakes, or that I could come to his house and he could put the snakes in my hand. Because they were the most expensive snakes I'd ever bought. And he said, no, I don't want to ship them. But he stumbled out of his house in a bathrobe, just, looking like the dude on a hangover. And he was like, here you go. I can't hang out, but you got your snakes. Now, that's the kind of guy Steve is. He's fantastic.
So full disclosure, another thing I think that's important, and we'll set the scene for the barbecue, I'll answer is, I don't know if Steve could be the way he is without his wife, Laura, the backbone.
She's a gem.
I don't know of anyone who's more supportive. Like, she goes to all the shows with him. So you get to the barbecue, and if you've ever been to Steve's house, now I don't know what everybody drives, but I drive a little 4-cylinder because I have to drive from Tampa to Orlando for work. I used to have a GMC Acadia, traded in for gas mileage. It's a horrible idea to do if you're going to go visit Steve. Steve lives in Brooksville, Florida, a very rural area. He's beautiful home, big home, doesn't even have Wi-Fi because they don't bring it to his home.
That's why you can't come on the show. He's like, I don't have Wi-Fi, man. I got to go to my daughter's house if I do that.
So you go down this little driveway. I remember him telling me, when you put in the GPS, it'll make you go right by my house. You're going to see a power pole, and I've stapled the numbers on there. That's where I live. And I was like, okay. And I found the little spot, and I'm driving down this road in what feels like off-terrain safari in Africa.
I mean, sorry, I'll interject. So we had gone to pick up the snakes, and same thing like you're describing. Mm-hmm. GPS at this point is a dream. And I knew we're close. I know I'm on the road, and I see a house that has the number, and that number's wrong. So I go the other way, and I find another house with a number, and that one's wrong. So I'm like, all right, I'm in between. I'm good. One's over and one's under. And I swear to God, I'm driving along, and in the little swamp ditch, I see a snake tub on the side of the road. I don't know why the tub was like the trash man didn't pick it up or whatever. And I was
he actually had mentioned to me, I got to go out there every once in a while to make sure and use the tractor. So that day we went to his barbecue, and there were probably 40 people there.
Okay, cool.
Dale showed up. Dale was there.
Yeah.
Just a snake breeder.
Jeremy Bob was there. Yeah.
Yeah, snake breeder. Jeremy was there, and then it pours. It just pours. And yeah, funny enough, we had Rings Reptiles. F-150, he had a truck. He got stuck. We literally had to help pull him. It came time to people leave. There was a group of us, me and a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Helping to get people out of the mud, cars moving just to get him on his driveway. And it was still a very good time. I mean, we went, we talked snakes, we saw Steve's stuff. Lots of food, just tons of food. They have a beautiful home. They were super open. I mean, Steve was, just to give you an idea, I don't even know if I'd be this trustworthy. I want to tell you yes. But he was just like, yeah, like he didn't even follow us to his snake rooms. He was just letting people walk around his house and pull tubs and look at stuff. And, if you know Steve's collection, I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing that,
Right.
Like,
yeah. I mean, that's a topic in and of itself. But yeah. And anyhow, we can leave it there. We don't have to turn it into a new show. But anyway, check out.
Great time.
Yeah. And, we talk about community. So Jeremy Bott has been fantastic to me.
Yeah,
and I always believe, truth be told, full transparency, I've never been a customer of his. I've yet to be able to give this guy $1. Actually, he would happily take my money. I can't afford what I want. Anyway, the point being, it hasn't lined up for what we wanted. But I called him when I did have some investment money, and I said, Jeremy, I want to start building up some hats. I'm not going to have enough money to get into all these projects that I want to, the visual. But if I could stack some hets at a value, it makes sense for me to do. I said, what double or triple hets you got that you might be interested in selling? And without a beat, he goes, I'm not the guy. Steve Casino's the guy. And he could have left it at that, but he didn't. So this is competitor, good friend, but competitor. He goes, his name's Steve Casino. That's Steve from Steve's Morphs. And here's his direct cell phone number. And if he's like, where'd you get this number? Tell him you got it from me, and he'll take care of you. And that all happened. Like, just completely amazing, Mm-hmm. And I think I paid an honest price for those animals. I didn't ask. I paid what Steve had it listed for. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. I wasn't just going to be like, so how about a discount? I'm special, But like I say, he had surgery that morning and stayed up through his recovery to make sure he could give me the snakes in my hand.
And it's awesome because that's a common story in this.
Yeah.
And I've seen Steve at a Repticon. People talking about the snakes and him walking them over.
He walked people over to George MD's table next. And that guy, I wouldn't say that guy.
He has what you want. Get it from him. And I'm like, wow,
That guy wasn't maybe a whale, but he was dropping 4 digits on a snake. I know that. I watched it. It happened. That's really cool. Okay. I got a question, just a little swerve topic here. We always talk about trends that we like in the hobby.
Jeremy, I became known at the barbecue guy as the old-fashioned guy because I brought all the stuff and made my own old-fashions. I ran out of simple syrup and was making my own simple syrup in Steve's kitchen.
Well, there you go.
Because so many people kept asking me, like, man, that was really good. Can you make some more?
That means you were getting people drunk because like most people after the second one, they're toast, man.
That's my drink of choice. I'm drinking water now, but
yeah. No, when I was on Jeremy's show the other night, you said, wait a minute, is that an old fashioned? And I had the good heavy glass for it, but like I said, it's kind of it was a poor man's old fashioned,
Go ahead. Sorry.
What trends are you seeing in the hobby that you don't like? And it's not meant to trash any. I'm not like
now. So I'll get more specific with the question so that I can answer properly. Are you saying like newer things or trends that still exist that I'm just now learning about?
That question just occurred to me before I came on the air because I was like, I try not to get things stale. I don't want to ask the same 20 questions every show. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I ask what people like a trend that people dislike seeing?
Yeah, I think probably the least favorite trend of mine, which we speak about with my logo, is the misinformation and the spread of the misinformation and people's dismissiveness of ideas. You know, we can talk about, I mean, there are things like the schoolyard, he said, she said stuff, but I think that's always going to be in the hobby. I think it's always
that's all just interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, and that's never going to go away. That's in my job. That's in every fact. That's a human trait, I think, that just, you know, some of us hopefully can get over. But the trend that I think is fixable, you know, that can be worked on, is really us policing factual evidence and stop allowing these people to push false narratives.
Yeah, I agree with you. I hate to say it. It ain't limited to ball. It's everywhere, man. And that, I'll tell you, it'll sound like a weird analogy. I think it's largely due to the internet and how fast
it spreads. Yeah.
Yeah. How fast things spread. But I'll tell you too, I remember really like it hit me in the face in 2006. I mean, of course, the internet was plenty big in 2006 as well. But a lady was just unloading on me. Beautiful place. I mean, this is when I was working for the PGA Tour. They don't put PGA Tour golf courses in bad areas. You know, bad areas. Not that there's, you know, I think that's a nonsense term anyway. This lady is unloading on me because she had seen something on the Food Network. Oh, well, now you must be the one, because I wasn't as experienced in 2006 as I am now, but I still had been at it for 12 years at that point in my career. And I had done I started as a dishwasher. And at that point, I was running restaurants and events and tournaments for the PGA Tour. But because she saw Rachel Ray make a French fry, man.
That's cooks and doctors probably have that the most.
Oh, yeah. Doctors.
You have to stand there and be like, go ahead and tell me how to do my job, lady who watches TV.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not saying I'm infallible. That wasn't the point. The point was that it was just a super if you don't like something, my job's to make you happy. If you just flat out don't, matter of fact, if you're in one of my restaurants and you're like, look, man, I just happened to order the wrong thing, man. I just don't care for this. I'm not going to let you leave hungry, and I'm not going to charge you for 2 meals. I might talk about you behind the scenes afterwards, but I'm going to take care of you. You know, that's just how I am. That's what food hospitality is about, is making those memories and making sure the moment and the experience is preserved. But anyhow, back to your point, I think it's almost a strategy for people now.
I think we need to, once again, police our own. And I say that is a famous scientist / novelist, sci-fi, father of sci-fi, Isaac Asimov. He has a very good quote where he said, the problem is people are believing that their feelings matter as much as facts. And I see the chat is talking about spider, and that's an excellent thing. Look, my personal feelings aside on the spider are pretty irrelevant. This is, you know, does have a neurological wobble. The first ones created in the wild do it. It's pretty much been scientifically proven that every spider in existence carries the neurological wobbling gene. It's a genetic trait passed on by the gene, kind of like bananas with their sex things, but was found in the wild as an adult. Like, I'm sorry, but, you know, yes, they have a condition that under bad conditions gets exacerbated, you know, if you're not properly keeping. But the first spider came from the wild as an adult. So if you don't want to breed it, that's a personal decision. And I support you on that. And, you know, but they're bad or all this. Well, that's your opinion. There's no evidence to support.
Yeah.
Those things.
I was going to say for me, I'll save the long discourse. If I'm not into spiders, I don't breed spiders. Yeah, there we go. Boom, boom. On we go. Like, I mean, if you're not torturing the animal, and I realize some people argue that a spider living is torturous to that animal.
Based on what? You know, like, but exactly, that's an opinion.
Right. That's where it's different for me. So
facts matter.
They should, yes. Yeah. And I don't want to get too nerdy off a different topic, but yeah, I like Isaac Asimov a lot. He's got a book called I, Robot, and a series of
it was a good short story. Yeah.
Robot. There were certain laws that he felt that robots
Three laws safe. Yeah.
Yeah, that they had to follow. So anyhow, and super prolific writer. Holy cow, the guy is published.
He was probably born 30 years too early. I think he is very appreciated. He'd be an icon if he was born, or if we're still living now, I think.
Yeah.
Like a living icon. I think he became, yeah.
Yeah, as computers get smarter and smarter and AI forwards, his take would be very interesting. But we digress. So I guess it's only fair for me to think of, I guess my trends that I don't like are much less nefarious. On Instagram, I can't stand a great looking snake and then no details or anything. It's just like
when you got to figure out what it is.
Yeah, or like, and maybe this is where I get nefarious. I'm like, these all they're doing is making people comment to ask them what it is. Like that's like you're not earning your comment, man. Like that's you're just trying to work the algorithm, man.
All right, so I'll play devil's advocate then. So on YouTube videos and things like that, does it equally bother you the clickbait? Somebody's like, I'm getting at it, or I'm totally done. And when you click it, they're like, oh yeah, I'm done. I'm moving over here now. You're like, oh
yeah. No, it really does. And I have tried. This isn't me just tooting my own horn, just being transparent. I have tried to always be as honest as I can in what I'm presenting, because I think in the long run it'll bite you in the butt. Like if your customers don't trust you, and when I say customers, I don't even necessarily mean financial customers, consumers of my content, if they don't trust me, you only burn them once. So fine, clickbait's cool, but it only works once. Like, why are they going to come back? So it's a lot more. I've always said I would rather have people's hearts than their eyeballs. So if I only have X number of subscribers, but they're total fans of what I do and very appreciative, I would much rather those than, hey, I got 3 million views here because I fooled you. No, that's not my thing.
And now you're not coming back. Yeah.
Right. And you're not going to come back. And I've always thought that in business, like people think I'm crazy. I mean, I'm sure people in the chat were just going, wait a minute, that guy just said he'll give somebody a dinner if they even make their own mistake. Yeah. I will, because those people will come back and they'll spend money. So it's not about the slim margin that I'll make now. It's that I want them drinking beer with 4 other dudes going, you know what an idiot I was? I screwed up my order and this guy still made sure I left happy. Like that's what I want people to know about me.
The money's in the kickback.
Yeah, it's in the volume. Yeah, you can shear a sheep many times. You can only skin it once, man. You better be careful if you're going to take the skin off of it. So, so like that, that's just like a pet peeve. Like the whole clickbait thing, that's a whole different culture. But like, even friends on Instagram, like, I know what you're doing. All you're doing is trying to drive content or drive comments and make people go, ooh, what is it? And I'll be like, nope, not interested, not commenting, not anything. I don't want to see it. So that's
I see the chat and I'll just do it. Yeah. It was Freedom Breeder that actually originated the first spider.
Okay.
Couldn't get it to breed and send it to Nerd. Everybody's asking where it came from. Had it was eating, it was doing everything fine. Kevin tells the story. Actually had a wobble right off the bat. He saw it. But these are not arboreal creatures. If we're talking about a tree boa, it's probably a bad issue to have a wobble. But as long as they're flat in the ground. But yes, it was Freedom Breeder who imported the first spider, but it was Kevin who bred the first
Gotcha. Spider. Okay. Hey, Rick, I don't think I've seen Rick Schlosser in before either. Thanks for joining the show. I guess it gave me a little different perspective from kind of behind the table too. Man, I was dumbfounded by the number of people. Like this literally happened 2 or 3 times. Somebody just asked for like free snakes. They're like, well, is there something just not selling that you're just going to, wholesale off later? And we're like, that's not how it works. Like, don't do that. That's not cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want to turn this into just a complaining that's a downer. So that's just feel like
I always tell it's not a complaint if we have. That's why I tried to answer your question. If we mention the solution at the end of it.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so fair point on that. Like, A, that's not cool to ask somebody that, but B, like that's just devaluing somebody's time and effort and what they're bringing to the table. Like you can politely walk away or impolitely walk away without saying anything. Like, the breeder knows there's 40 other breeders in the same room. Like, this is a competitive space, no problem there. But
yeah,
I was like, wow, that happened. And
I've been in other sales ventures. I suppose it probably doesn't happen to chefs, but I was always surprised at, it's kind of the whole the worst they could say is no attitude, which is sometimes a good thing.
Yeah.
But yes, the fact that people don't seem to think that it's disrespectful to be like, hey, can I just have it? And you're like, why would I, do you understand what you're asking me is to devalue my work?
Yeah. And I guess there's a time and a place. Like if I knew for a fact X breeder was beelining the way to the wholesaler.
Yeah.
That's the time and the place to ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, can I pay you whatever they're going to pay you? I mean, you've already written the snake off. What can we do here? But like in the middle of that was the wrong time and place for it. No, everybody wants something for free. And I'm a big believer in ask. What's the worst they could say is no, but I hope I have a little more tact for the timing of it.
I think there's an etiquette involved in that. I don't think it's meant to be like that.
Jen Exotics, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the kind words, man. That is cool. There you go. You don't want to end the deal. You tell the guy to get your logo tattooed on his arm and the snake is free. Yeah. Become a walking billboard for me. And we'll talk about a free snake after that. I like it.
Great idea.
So in the audience, if there's topics you want to cover, let us know. Man, we're almost at 90 minutes already. Holy cow.
Yeah. Cool. I have a question for you, Adam. It's something and the chat. Actually, you guys are doing a great job chiming in. As we know, these morphs are theoretical for the most part, especially with as many combos as we're creating and some of them being world's first. And it's difficult to look at something. And I'll be the first to admit this or to say it. I don't know. It's not really said enough, I think, but I think most people know it. Man, there are so many snakes on Morph Market, just in my limited knowledge, that are obviously misidentified.
They're wrong. Yeah.
And you don't call them out because it's who are you and what's the point in that and things like that. But it's tricky when if you're like, I think Adam's like me and a lot of you guys like me, were you looking for that deal? For instance, to be like, yeah, sure, it'd be really cool to get that 3-gene visual clown male to be that powerhouse to go to your females. But then you go and see a 2 or 3-gene het clown male that has, the gene that you want, things like that. And they tell you, oh, I think it's this. And then you grow that snake up and you breed it. And one of those genes just never shows up in your 2 or 3 clutches that you did with it first year. And you understand like no malicious intent. I'm not speaking where you think you got screwed up, but where the theoretical ID was wrong and you paid the money, you could argue that the price included the chance that you were off, but how would you handle that? Especially if it was,
So from just a human standpoint, I think it's important to understand or to try and always seek to understand. That was something a boss, but I consider him a mentor, taught me. He was like, Adam, did you ever just try and you don't even have to agree with what they're saying, but try and understand why they're saying what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a hell of an idea. And I mean that seriously, like that is a hell of a concept. So from a customer standpoint, by all means, we work hard for our money and these are not inexpensive. And I was blown away. If you had told me I'd be talking about paying literally thousands of dollars casually for a snake 2 years ago, I would have gone, nah, that's Gibson money, Gibson guitar money, and I got a finite amount of that. So I don't ever think it's a problem to bring up the conversation. What the expected outcome is, I mean, that's between the two people. There's you pay for that inherent risk is in the hobby, and you got to do your homework. But I'll give you a very, very specific example from me. And I wish Mark was in the audience tonight. He's not. That I've seen Mark from 403 Fauna. He might be, but usually he's pretty active if he's in. Mark bought a snake from me that I sold to him as banana het clown, possible het ghost. There is a very distant possibility that the clown was not the sire to that clutch.
Oh, okay.
He knows that. I wouldn't say I was like, whoa, before you give me your money, like really get doubtful about this. Like I was pretty transparent. If you watch my videos, it's in the videos. If somebody's going to spend a lot of money with me, they can always do their research. Hey, what's up, Kai? Thanks for saying hey. But Mark, we've built a really good relationship. I've never met him in person, but he's been a customer to me, and I would say at least hobby friendship kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So this year, the sire that I don't think it was, but it could possibly have been, is the only snake that I paired to that female this year.
Okay.
So if those babies come out and look identical to what I sold Mark, I'm going to have to pick up the phone and call him and say, look, man, you knew that it was a problem or a chance, but it's not what I sold you. And I priced it as what I sold you. Now then, how can I make it right? Can I cut you a deal on another animal? Can I just flat out give you a refund? Can there be a store credit? Can I pay full top dollar for one of your animals? Then I would start the conversation.
Yeah. And well, it happened to me, and like I said, I know the guy, no malicious intent. I know for sure.
Yeah.
I still want that gene, so I'm going to have to go and get another snake to help me push that. But yeah, it's just the risk. And I was just curious, for both a seller and a buyer, what are people's thoughts? What would be, if we were policing the hobby, what would be the universal consensus of how to handle these things?
It's hard to know on where, because some of it's so subjective. And I know this is going to sound really like basic, and this this is me pushing one of my videos or several of them. I talked about this in my video. So the pairing was a pastel clown was one sire, and a super Mojave pastel was the other sire. This sounds pretty simple. If there's Mojave,
you're good.
The damn
the super Mojave,
the super Mojave, right? You wouldn't believe the arguments of people saying there's Mojave in that, there's not Mojave in that.
Oh, wow.
And then, well, maybe it's a split clutch because that one looks a little more like Mojave than that one. I eventually, and still to this day, believe that it was not that super Mojave that fathered that clutch. But there's a little part of me that's going to go, that's really, and this is the one that just laid 11 eggs the other day that I just made a video about. There's a little part of me that 11 of these little banana Mojaves are going to pop out, all with their little snake middle fingers up going, ha ha, you were wrong. So we'll see. But I really am trying to incorporate. So, but even something that, like, even myself, if I hadn't seen it with my own two eyes, I would go, well, look, man, you got to know whether there's Mojave in your animal. Is it Mojave, or is it normal, or is it pastel? That's it.
It gets tougher with the genes. There's certain genes that are overpowering, so it's harder to tell.
Yeah, and I
think of maybe banana is a good example. Bamboo is another example. Certain genes that just really eat up other combos or eat up other
Jeremy
genes.
Brings up a good point. Like, we're probably giving away genes because we're not sure what there is. Again, in my heart, I'm sure, I know everybody says this, but I'm sure there's something else in either the banana, which is incredibly overpowering, like identifying vanilla.
I think outside of albino, it's the strongest, I would say.
Yeah, I would. Oh, yeah.
Albino's probably the strongest gene. Banana's probably right there, right after.
So trying to get over, like banana's going to, like, trying to identify pastel, I even find challenging in banana, but certainly fire or vanilla. If you're relying on patterns, and as an adult, they're all washed out patterns anyhow on a mature female banana. Like, I got orange babies, I got purple babies, I got electric neon yellow babies, and I got normals. And I was like,
what? Yeah.
I thought this was going to be way easier than this is. So anyhow,
it's actually affected how I pair. I don't know if this happened to you.
Yes.
But I've intentionally taken some simpler female routes with some of my other breeding pairs for the sole purpose of, one, making sure I don't make too complicated of a baby, but two, so I can actually start learning the markers for genes when there are only one or two, genes in the mix.
Right. And so 2 points to one, take a side step, creme de la clutch. Yeah, you're right. With the hets, either they are or they aren't. And if you don't know, you can't list it as, you can list it as possible if that's a second generation kind of thing. But otherwise, you got to be on. As a breeder, I think you have to be responsible for your 50, your 66, and your 100% or possible. That's got to be a non-negotiable. That's not cool. But yeah, so I actually, when I was working with Dale, if any breeders want to host me or were wondering if you should, I ended up buying quite a few animals. Well, I say quite a few. I ended up buying 3 animals from Dale that day. That one of my
didn't we vote for one of them?
What?
At least the gene. Didn't we vote? Didn't we have a part?
Yeah. That was kind of the investment purchase. I had stocked up some money and I bought an acid from Dale. And as I'm going through envisioning my pairings for the future, I don't want to pair it with Enchi because acid and Enchi stays kind of so strong that it really kind of overpowers acid to where you might wonder, is that acid or not?
Yeah.
I don't want any doubt whether it's acid. First, I love acid. Second, I love the financial aspect of acid. I don't want to have to go. I don't know. Maybe you get it on me.
Yeah.
I'll give you Enchi on the house. I ain't giving you acid on the house, ideally.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on that. But sorry, to circle all the way back around, I think how people bring up the conversation will probably dictate the outcome a whole lot more than what the conversation is. If you're decent and you go to the breeder and you acknowledge, sure, there's risk. We all know this. At the end of the day, I feel like an unsatisfied customer, how can we do something about this or where do we go from here is probably going to come out a whole lot better than you sold me a BS snake and I want all my money back. And you haven't kept up a relationship. You haven't stayed in touch, any of that. Like, honestly, I could backtrack and go find the other 6 siblings or 5 siblings I sold to that one that I sold to Mark. He's the one that I've got the relationship with. If the others pop up one day, I would acknowledge it. But as far as me reaching out to him, like, I'll get to Mark before he gets to me. The others might have to come to me just because I don't know who they are,
Makes sense.
So in that way, I love relationships and community talk that way. All right. You get to pick. Do you want to talk to wrap up? Do you want to talk future plans or do you want to talk French Bulldogs?
I guess in the spirit of
you can do both if you want. I'm giving you a hard time.
We'll start with French Bulldogs then.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'll tell to everybody why I bring it up. So here's Miguel, and you're dressed way too subdued compared to, like, in the reptile show was like, I can't really describe it, like a
tie-dye hat. Yep.
Yeah, tie-dye bowling ball swirl hat, a snake on one arm, and a French bulldog on the leash, just leading the way. I was like, man, this dude is like Kramer in the Technicolor Code episode. Yeah, this is fantastic, man.
Yeah.
But no, it was all fit. It was great.
So funny thing is, I'm actually I learned about French Bulldog genetics actually because of ball pythons. He's my 3rd one. I love the breed. I used to have boxers.
Okay.
I guess I got a soft spot for brachiocephalic breeds, which are smush face dogs.
Smush face with the nose, yeah.
Yeah. So ended up moving into an apartment, and that's just not a good space for a boxer. They need that energy. She got older, and I knew I wanted another dog, but I didn't want it to be a boxer. Got Frenchie. He's my 3rd one. He's a blue brindle. The way genetics work in French Bulldogs, blue is recessive.
Okay.
It is a black French Bulldog missing a certain marker in its DNA that makes it blue. Yep. It's the same thing happens with fawns, and that's how you get lilac French Bulldogs. Same genetic markers missing. It's just a brown coat instead of the black coat. But we're actually looking for a female. I'm going to be breeding Sam. So.
Oh, cool. And they were like, I didn't know. I'll be honest. I didn't know what breed of dog. I'm sure I'm like, if you could reach through the screen, you would smack me. Like, I thought I was like, that sort of looks like a pug. I'm not sure. Is that it? Like,
they're mixed, actually. Frenchies aren't pure. They're pugs, English bulldogs, and terriers mixed together.
Okay. All right.
That's why they vary so much, because it depends what influence they got.
I see. All right. So I'm not as bad off then. But man, I think
Jeremy wants to see him. Let me open the door and grab him.
Oh, that's true. All right. Yeah. Blue Frenchie, it didn't happen. But there were like 3 other people with French bulldogs. So I really think they were the only kind of dogs that I saw at the show, you know? Hey, while Miguel is getting the French, I think his name is Sam, the blue French bulldog. Let me share this with you guys. I'll save you the long story. Let me show you this super cool announcement from Jeremy Bod and Chris Eaton real fast. Let me press play.
Okay, so what we got here is pretty cool, man. 15 Minutes of Lame Season 1 alumni Jeremy and Jeannie Bod over at Bod's Exotic Reptiles. They went out and they got themselves a guitar. Then they got that guitar signed by the original pioneering big dogs in the reptile hobby. I'm talking guys like Ralph Davis, Kevin McCurley, Brian Barczyk, the Sutherlands, Ty Park, and more. And guess where this thing is headed? To the Daytona 2022 National Reptile Breeders USARK auction. Maybe, just maybe, one of you guys could own a piece of history. The only way to win this guitar is show up at the auction and bid. Help out USARK, own something bad. This is literally the only one of these guitars in the world. Get your down to the Daytona USARK auction on Saturday, August 20th at 8 p.m. at the Daytona Hilton. And bid on this guitar, support USARK, and potentially be a part of reptile history.
How cool is that? Awesome. The short story is I built that guitar. Jeremy asked for my help to get a guitar. Let's raise some money for USARK, and thanks to Chris Eaton for that killer promo. Who is this?
Samson.
Say
hi, Sam. No, look at the camera.
Sam. Oh yeah, he's like, what? Look at his ears go. He's a beauty, man. Yeah, like so. Charlie at Reagan Renee Royal Pythons was saying, I don't know if you noticed, there was like 3-4 other people at the show that had a French bulldog too. There, Charlie was like, there's a reptile community and then a sub community of reptile / Frenchie people.
Yeah. I know Jesse from Freedom Breeder. He actually breeds them as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I had no idea. Then again, a little over 2 years ago, I had no idea there was this whole community of ball python people either. So
yeah,
it's fantastic.
So hopefully in about a year and a half, I'll have Frenchie puppies.
Oh, sweet. So what future plans? We talked about where you're at now. What does this hobby mean to your future? Where do you want to take it? What's the big dream for you?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think you mentioned it. Trying to keep my financial footprint pretty small. Mm-hmm. 1, so I can grow in the hobby, and then 2, so it can replace my full-time job one day. I don't know the timetable of that. There are a lot of factors that go into when that's going to play in, but the ones that I can control, I'm trying to control and really shrink down my outgoing expenses so that I can store and save and make sure that happens sooner than later. As far as like what type of breeder I want to be, I thought about this a lot because I'm space required. I hate breeding rats. Yeah. And that is going to limit how big I want my snakes to get. So I take more of the boutique breeder kind of approach. Yeah. I'm not just going to keep adding racks and growing. And I'll be honest, there's so many genes that I like and want. But when I think about really expanding on my 3 favorite recessives, I could fill up 20 racks and still not have everything I want. Right. So I am, for better or worse, I think right now tied to the Desert Ghost Axanthic clowns. Mm-hmm. I'm working on the Axanthic and Desert Ghost combos. I will be making my first double het DG clowns this year, using that male to go into stuff. I do have a soft spot as far as codoms go. I love the dark genes. Mahogany is my favorite codom, so I like to push that a lot.
Oh, cool.
Blackhead, all those. But all in the name of Axanthic, Desert Ghosts, and Clowns. There aren't too many projects that I'm really pushing as far as no recessives being involved in the pairings whatsoever.
Right.
Well, and like I said, I have a cap. I know what size I want to be, and I think I will take that approach. I think Ozzy is probably the most famous person in that approach, where I'll have a clutch max, and then the goal just becomes to increase the value of those clutches every year.
That's right. And I think that has to be the approach, even if you do have all kinds of space, just from a business standpoint. Now, let me say, if it's just a true love and passion, that's a whole different story. But from a true, just a pure, simple business standpoint, if you have the opportunity to improve your value, there's really no reason not to, with the slight exception, if you think you're going to price yourself out of the market and abandon your customer base that you've spent a lot of time building up. But I think that ball python breeding is such a slow, long-term endeavor. I don't think you're ever going to totally abandon one if you're working towards something else. And the reality is, for me at least, if I decided to change my direction all of a sudden, I would have to go through that very slow breeding process, because if I suddenly decided I was going to deal in nothing but super, super high-end expensive stuff, even my collection now wouldn't afford me. If I sold it and liquidated it, I couldn't turn around and buy what I would want to buy and have the same customers that I've already built. So it doesn't really make that much sense to. So, the spatial cap is where the big variable that we all seem to deal. We all seem to come back to how much space do we have and what makes the most sense. To me, it's a space, time, dollar. Not the not space time continuum.
I don't think I ever want employees, so it never outgrow me being able to do it. And I think Reagan Renee actually brought up a good point. You don't have to breed rodents. I know you don't. Billy has a massive collection and doesn't breed rodents. Part of that for me, I only breed ASFs. Yeah. All of my snakes that are breeders and stay with me are all ASFers. I buy rat pups and rats for the snakes that are going to be for sale. Yeah. And that is, for me, just quality control. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I actually pamper my rodents. I get made fun of. Sweet Serpents, if he's in here. A lot of people who come to my ASFs, when I go food shopping every week, I buy them asparagus and kale, and I give them fruit, and I touch them, and they're all very friendly.
Hang on just a second. You're probably getting it too. I just got
the alerts.
Amber alert. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And so I do that for quality control. Once again, it was also easier for me because I was tracking all of my snakes, their feeding, their growth, everything. I went through an experiment of difference between rats and ASFs, and that was just easier if I knew what everyone was eating. I knew the quality of my rodent. Sure. But I hated it. It was an experience that I still don't enjoy. I do breed, like I said, from my collection, but that's just a quality control. By no means, Adam's. You don't even need to go to be as big as Billy. Adam has roughly the same size collection I do, and he buys all his rodents.
I do. And I mean, to talk on that, I like, I'm not affiliated with them. I would like to be affiliated with them, but I'm not financially. But I like Cold Blooded Cafe a lot. They're not the cheapest. As much as I talk about dollars and pennies, they're not the cheapest. And then I've got about 20%, so 10 to 12 of my collection eats live. I'm not going to fight them on it. They're ones that I've got a goal with, that they're going to be my future breeders. Okay, fine. We'll go live for you. But I got a great local breeder that I know him. I've talked to him about his quality. His service is phenomenal. Unreal. I actually don't even know how it's worth his time business wise to do that. I don't want to know. I don't want to talk him out of it. It's fantastic. So I took the food purveyor approach on that. The fact is, I'm not raising my cows. I'm not growing. Even if I could grow, even if I wanted to grow some things in a garden, I'm not going to grow a whole restaurant's worth of it's just not real. And then how far do you take it? I mean, is it about the gas in my car? Am I confident in the gas that I'm putting in? I mean, we all have to take that trust. So I'm not knocking it, but I think the relationships are really important on that part. And if you could support local, I love that too. Like I'm not the rats aren't for me, or the ASFs. I have a pretty severe allergy. Jeremy Bod could tell you I lasted about 4 or 5 minutes in his rodent room. Yeah, and which was great and wonderfully ventilated, but I was out of there, man. So anyhow, Miguel, I want to tell you thank you for joining tonight, man. We've gone like 2 hours. Like I felt bad now. Like I was like prepping you. I was like, well, an hour to hour and a half. We'll see how it goes. We're good. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, man. This is our topic of community was fantastic tonight because a great illustration of it. You meet the right people, and it can be on YouTube. It can be in person like it was you and I. We had the good fortune to go out and have some dinner and actually talk about rough service. That was a bad service night. But have, oh my gosh, I can't believe we didn't tell that story. Screw it. Those 33, I'll still watching. It's worth your while here for like a 2-minute story. So Steve's Morphs is kind of the ringleader of saying, hey, who's going out to dinner tonight? We're going to go to the auction, have some drinks, and then we'll go have some dinner. I said, sure, man, that sounds cool. Look at me. I'm getting to hang out with these big dogs. This is fun. Miguel's cool. And so he says, we're going to the wing house. I said, okay, fine. Wings are good. He goes, yeah, they got wings and beer. I didn't know in Florida, wing house is code for bootleg Hooters run poorly. I'm gonna get sued by wing house. On top of which, the Florida venue or the Tampa venue for Repticon is the Florida Fairgrounds, the state fairgrounds. And at the state fairgrounds is a huge amphitheater concert venue. Little do we know, it is storming like hell. The Tampa Bay Lightning, aptly named for storms like what's going on. We're at the wing house, the bootleg Hooters with horrible service. So there's half-dressed girls that are pissed and getting just absolutely demolished by business.
Kid Rock concert too, remember?
Yeah, and it's a Kid Rock concert. There
across
are
the street,
smashed Kid Rock fans that will not leave to go to the concert because there's lightning and thunder outside. So everybody's wet. They're hammered in there. The half-dressed girls, I've had enough of today. And we stroll in like we're just going to have some wonderful dinner. And we did. It was a good night. We had a good time. It was
They awarded us the opportunity to talk a lot more than we probably thought we were going to.
That is true. Because
while waiting for the food and
somebody said they were our server, and then an hour later we went and found a new server because we never saw her again.
Yeah.
I was texting my wife trying to explain her this whole situation. She's like, "What is going on there?"
And it took like 25 minutes for all the food to come out. Remember, they came some of it and then
random.
Like,
mine was wrong. Mine was just like, I'll just eat this. It's good. Don't worry. Anyhow, thank you very much. Oh man, I had a great time, and here we are 2 hours in. So thank you very much, audience. Thanks so much, Jeremy Bod. Congratulations on getting the guitar together, and I know that you're diligently working on it. I will be into Daytona. I will not be there Friday night. I'll be into Daytona early Saturday. If I'll bring my little my guitar tools if I need to work on it or get it set up to actually be able to play or whatever, I'll take care of that day. So cool. Congratulations bringing that to life. I know you got more signatures to get. I really, really, really hope that it brings in just huge money. Miguel, I'll see you in Daytona.
Yep, I'll be there.
Fantastic. Anybody else that's going to Daytona? I know Ken's going. I know a lot of people are going. Let's make sure that we all hook up and connect and hang out. I don't know. Oh, I do know one thing at Daytona. They serve till 3 a.m. because I found out one time that a 3-hour gig meant I was starting at midnight and playing till 3, which was ridiculous there in town. But definitely can look to hang out and meet everybody and see what's going on. It'll be a really great time. So Miguel, thank you very much. Every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. right here on Proper Royals. I do it every week. I don't know yet who the guest is next week, believe it or not. I got a bunch of fishing lines out. We will have a guest. We will be here, Proper Royals. Go check out Perfectly Engineered Reptiles. All the links are in the description down below. Miguel, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, man. Let's do it again.
Sir. Thank you, chat.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to hit the music. Here we go. Watch your ears. Oh, I got to start it over. Hang on. Miguel, figure out. Good night, everybody.